reminder once again, folks, if you'd like to get some complimentary face painting or even toss an axe, not toss them, throw them, or grab yourself a beer and sit by the heaters, it's all complimentary except for the beer, of course. It's all complimentary. Face painting. Take a little Utah Olympic spirit home with you. That's between the corners 14 and 15 where you cross the pedestrian bridge, the low point area, by the big white tent. It's going to be open for just a bit longer, so head on down.
Bobsled start. This is our first of two forerunners before we start our second and final run here, the field of 13 for the BMW IBSF World Cup two-man bobsled competition.
Just a reminder for safety riders to think about, please do not use flash photography. Now that the sun's going down, please don't use flash photography. And flash just
Please don't be responsible for an incident or potential incident, so no flash photography. And now, of course, don't climb
on the fence post or throw snowballs or things like that. Not only for the track safety, but think about the athletes too. Again, this is the first of two forerunners. Final forerunner. And then we'll kick off with our run number 2. And it'll be the pilot Axel Brown from Trinidad and Tobago. They'll be the first ones as our forerunner crosses the finish line. So Axel Brown from Trinidad and Tobago will be the first pilot down. Marcano Andre is his brakeman, so they'll take to the track here in just a few minutes. We have one more forerunner before we start our second final heat. Attention at the start, 2 minutes, official 2 minutes. Seven.
through the Wasatch Fall, the exit of 10 into 11, rises up just a bit in elevation before dropping down into curve 11.
Brad Hall from Great Britain will be the final sled to determine who wins the number 1 spot here in Utah.
Marty, how long would it take you to come back?
So we're less than 10 minutes.
Second bobsled start. The Austrians. Brad Hall is currently with a 30.00. He's back by 600 to the second. He's with third spot. Let's go. Bobsled start. Still on the front now. It's going to be Brad Hall. So the traffic box, let's start.
Big wave there. And everyone at home, thanks for staying up late. One more.
Hot chocolate. The pilot representing Trinidad and Tobago will be the first sled down. That pilot is Axel Brown, so he'll be standing by. This is our second and final forerunner on the track here in preparation for the second and final heat. Both runs count, the first run and the second run. Your lowest accumulative time will be through curve 15. You're going to see a lot of leader changes because both runs do count. And only 1,500ths of a second separate the first, second, and third place sleds. It's going to be a great race coming up momentarily.
How cold is it over there? It's not cold. What do you think he lost it?
Attention at the start, 5-minute warning. 5-minute warning for the pilot Axel Brown. 5-minute warning at the start.
Park City, Utah, in the Wasatch Mountains. We are just outside of Salt Lake City, 2,000 meters above sea level at the highest ice track on the planet. Welcome back, everybody, to our coverage of round 2 of the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup. Today, Friday afternoon, Friday morning, Saturday morning, Friday night, wherever you are, it is the turn of two-man bobsleigh. We're heading into our second and deciding heat, and we have an entertaining prospect. For the first time in 3 outings here, we could end up without a US sled on the podium. After the first heat, Francesco Friedrich, the only man in the field who raced here at the last World Cup race in 2013 and the World Cup race in 2012 before that in two-man. He lies in 3rd place with Torsten Margis behind him on the brakes. They are 1500ths out of the lead. In 2nd place, a great first run from Switzerland's Michael Vogt and Sandro Michel. 2nd fastest start, 100th faster than Friedrich and Margis, and they are 600ths off the lead. So who leads? Well, the winner last 2 times out, Stephen Holcomb, is not obviously in the field. The late great Stephen Holcomb missing here, but it is Brad Hall and Taylor Lawrence, the Royal Navy Sportsman of the Year, who are leading the race after the first of our 2 heats. Brad came up with the silver medal in both races last weekend in Whistler.
Big wave there. And everyone at home, thanks for staying up late.
And his two-man career, 4 silvers now and a bronze in World Cup races. Could he add a gold to that? Well, 1500ths is a very small margin on this track ahead of Francesco Friedrich. Honestly, a second ahead of Francesco Friedrich on any track is still a fairly small margin. Friedrich is the ultimate hunter-killer. He lies in 3rd place. He'll be 3rd last to go. Brad Hall will feel the changing room empty around him until his last out. First out, though, welcoming Trinidad and Tobago to the World Cup for the very first time. Axel Brown and his brakeman, Marcano Andre, will be first off. Well, there is Michael Vogt. Ice temperature down to -6.9, nearly -7. It was -5 for the first heat. The air temperature was hovering around +4. It's now down to -2. So it is getting cold in a hurry. Wrap up war. I'm actually sitting in a commentary booth inside with 4 layers on, including my coat. It is not the warmest day today. In the sunshine, you're good, but the sun is fast sinking below the mountains. There's Marcano Andre, the brakeman for Trinidad and Tobago, and the Swiss brakeman who'll be here in a 4-man race, enjoying themselves as well trackside. So it will be Trinidad and Tobago first out, Cedric Followedors, and then our other rookie, Adam Dobesh from the Czech Republic, followed by Taylor Austin, Marcus Trichel, and the rest. As we get down into the serious money, and it looks as though the top 3 are just a step ahead of everyone else. Let's see how this one pans out. Coach Lee Johnson putting the sled on the ice for Trinidad and Tobago, Axel Brown and Marcano Andre. They get our second heat underway. Race 2 of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup, a historic day for Trinidad and Tobago. The first World Cup start for this group of island states. They started 5.13 in the first heat, 5.11 in the second, and a smooth run through corner 4, that nice single parabola. That's what we're looking for here. He was racing here last weekend and the weekend before in 2-man and 4-man in North America's Cup. Unfortunately, Trinidad and Tobago, whoa, big skids, not yet qualified with 5 races on 3 tracks in 2 different seasons for the 4-man. They will work on that this year while competing in 2-man in the World Cup and try and qualify a 4-man for next year. Across the line, 49.10, 1100s better than their first heat, so that is an improvement that he will be happy with, I'm sure. Looks like the track is a little faster and, as a result, trickier for the drivers. You've got to keep adjusting, always chasing the racetrack, same in auto racing as in sliding. Happy to be here, absolutely. I'm looking forward to having Axel in the booth with me tomorrow for the women's bobsleigh race. Just a little early on the take on then, and as he comes out of 10 over the Wasatch Fault, little sled going light moment and gets into a skid heading into 11. And then 14 to 15, the first little tap on the rear bunk just kicks the tail out of fraction. It's a nice looking run though for Axel Brown of Trinidad and Tobago.
Terrible.
Listen, everybody's going to make the debut one day, and today was their day. Next up, Cedric Followedors, Quentin Giard, and Quentin is a first-time starter as well. It's his two-man World Cup debut. It's only his 12th two-man race ever. He's got 2 four-man World Cup starts as well with Cedric, because this is Cedric's 3rd World Cup weekend. So tomorrow will be his 3rd four-man start. 28 years old, 26-year-old brakeman. Let's see what they can produce. Their advantage 1400s, and they have a big slide wide. So 508, a little quicker at the start, but surely that's going to be compromised. Hard onto 3. Don't think he had full control of the sled as they came out of those grooves at the start. 1400s up, so he maintains his advantage over Axel Brown. The Swiss sled should be quick at the bottom. Slightly better speed, but another skid. I think the ice, the ice is definitely colder. I think harder and faster, even less grip than in the first heat. 3/10 up though. He's gathering it all together. Good exit off 14. That'll be big speed at the bottom. And it is Cedric Followedors, 48.78. That's a decent improvement to full 3100s, 2900s. Better than his first heat. Castle track still, all these years you'd think by now. No. So it was a bit sketchy, wasn't it, though? There was a few big moments where he was not quite with it, and right from the start. Let's take a look at what happens here. So he gets in. Does he catch his feet? No. But just a little slow getting in. They're out of the start grooves already. His brakeman, Quentin, is still running. I mean, they ran it very deep down to... That's you know, Sambarit's deep into turn 1 kind of running. Nevertheless, you see all the ice coming up there from the brakes of brakeman wearing a face full of it. So Cedric Followedors has the lead from Axel Brown. There's Cedric. Next up, our 2nd World Cup debutant in the race, Dobesh, the 30-year-old from the Czech Republic. 27-year-old brakeman Dominik Zaleski in his 2nd World Cup start, so hugely more experienced. So let's see what the former weightlifter and Czech national 100-meter record holder can do. Their first start was a 4.99, 7th fastest in the field. You can't argue with that speed. 5.01, just a little slower. Nice quiet run from 2 to 3. That's what we like to see in corner 4. Just a tiny sketchy skid coming into 5. Out of 6, 4/10 up. Here we go. This is a nice looking drive from Dobesh. Smooth into 10 though, rattles it down to 11. 3600s up. He'll probably have lost 1/10 of that. 3300s up. Oh, late flop off 14. 3rd best speed, 1/4 of a second ahead of the line, 1900s. Okay, 48.79 compared to 48.78 of Cedric Followedors. So his advantage over Cedric was 2/10. Comes down to 1900s of a second. And everybody puffing and blowing. Honestly, 2,000 meters of altitude, when you walk around, you are short of breath. And there's the bump coming out of 10. Hauled it down off 10 a little, and then hit the inside wall. Did straighten him up into 11. Out of 14, does he flop? Just a little, but avoids breaking into too much of a skid to really check up the runners either. Trusting his line. That's really impressive from a young driver with very little experience on this track at all. Not raced here before. Not having raced here before, is a feature for a number of our drivers in the field. Not, though, for Taylor Austin of Canada. Cyrus Gray, his brakeman. Cyrus, 30 last Sunday, making his World Cup debut for two-man North America's Cup races. His last 3 weeks ago. And Taylor Austin, as I pointed out in the first heat, 19 North America's Cup two-man races alone here with 5 wins and 2 other medals. Third race in the World Cup for Taylor, 5:06, 5:05 in the first heat. So as the temperature drops, maybe that start groove is just starting to get a little sticky, and a little bump going into corner 4. 800s up. He had 800s from the first heat. Started 500 slower than Dobesh and is now starting to ease away. 125.9, 78.2 miles an hour. Pretty decent exit from Taylor Austin, using all of its experience at this track. Top speed so far, 48.38. Okay, that's a big improvement for Taylor Austin. 48.38 compared to 48.75 in the first heat. 48.38 would have left him 600s out of the top 5 in Heat 1 instead of being in 10th place. So that could be enough to make him move up a little. He's in a very tight group, the 2 sleds in front of him. And he were covered by just 300s in the first heat. So cutting just a little bit of ice out of 10, coming a little too far maybe to driver's left, gets the tap away into corner 11. Still a little bit of work could have been done to tidy that up. But Taylor Austin leads, and next up, Marcus Trichel and the following sled of Frank Del Duca. Well, the 3 of them were covered by 400s. Marcus, with Christian Huber behind him, 300s ahead of Taylor Austin and Cyrus Gray. Trichel still just 29 years old. 42nd two-man World Cup for Marcus Trichel. Finished 7th in the season opener in Whistler last week. An enormous World Cup PB for him. No races here. So his 6 training runs split between 2-man and 4-man. In the sense that maybe there are a couple in 2-man, 4 in 4-man. Check that later. It might actually be 3 and 3 thinking about it. However, 3 runs to learn the track in the sled. He gets bumped away into 4. Still battling for a top 10 finish. 1300s ahead of the improved run of Taylor Austin, and bigger speed as well. We saw this Austrian sled get great speed in Whistler, big skid. Gap's going to come back down again. Speed, if it's not best, he'll be down into single digits. That's not a bad exit. It's going to be close, isn't it? Second best speed, not that close. 800s. He opens up the advantage over Taylor Austin with a 48.33 compared to his 48.72. So 3900s of an improvement. 5:01, they matched their first start. So confidence building start to the season for Marcus Trichel. Into 10 and then off it. Breaks into a skid here. Watch the runner tips. Just lets the sled find its own way, and he's just very slightly thinking it over to the take on corner 11. A little harder than he would have liked. There's Christian Huber, Marcus Trichel, his driver, and he lead after the first 5 sleds. Frank Del Duca, former US brakeman turned driver, lying in 8th place, and in a battle not only with Taylor Austin and Marcus Trichel behind him, but with his teammate Jeff Garbo just 200s in front of him after the first heat. And don't think that there's not a battle to be the better of the two US sleds. A race within a race. And there are so many going on. There's Hakim Abdul Sabur, a man mountain at the back. Look, he's at least twice the width of that cowling and has to wriggle his way in. 4.98, big start from them, 4.97 in the first heat. Nice run through 2 and 3. A little hard up to 4, little flop off 5 if we're being super critical. And at this level, when there is so little between them, you kind of have to be. Best speed, 800s up. Keeping his nose nice and tidy. And the tail is following. 1100s. Speed wasn't quite as good as we saw from Trichel. Little late flop, he's keeping it clean. This might be close at the line. It was 1100s at the line, it is 800s. He holds his place at least. 48.26, we are getting quicker. That is 45 hundredths better than his first heat.
Let's see if it holds up. Let's see.
The leader needs to go 57 hundredths better than his first heat to break the all-time track record set in the Winter Olympic Games by Christoph Langen. Not sure that's happening today, but again, never can quite tell. Frank Del Duca producing the goods here. Guarantee himself at least an 8th place finish. Frank was in 10th in Whistler, so this is a personal best World Cup result already. And he may yet pick off his teammate Jeff Garbo. Here's Jeff at the top of the track with rookie Darius Joseph behind him. Garbo was here for the last couple of weeks, so he'll be a little more acclimatized to the lack of oxygen at 2,000 meters. Didn't do the World Cup opener. But he will head to home ice in Lake Placid after this weekend. Olympic Regional Development Association order have created the World Push Champs in the Lake Placid Ice House. That'll be next weekend. And then the World Cup the weekend after. Oh, runners are out of the sled. Big push there from Darius Joseph. He knows that his driver needs everything. Little uncomfortable load as well. Not the greatest start, I'm afraid. 5.18. They started 5.10 and looked more cohesive. Brakeman, the inexperience there. It's that routine, that endless repetition and the rhythm, the muscle memory that will come with time. It's just cost them a little edge. They're behind. Only the 4th best speed. So Frank Del Duca the leader, Marcus Trichel 800s back, 1600s back, Taylor Austin. Jeff Garbo could be in trouble here. He's in free fall, half a second back, so he might drop behind Adam Dobesh of the Czech Republic as well. Not the run he wanted. 4th best speed, Garbo at the line, 5500s back. He is just ahead of Adam Dobesh, but he is behind Taylor Austin. But his World Cup best result in his previous 7 World Cup races in 2-man was a 17th place finish, so he has comprehensively kicked that into touch. His last 2-man World Cup, by the way, January 2021 in Koenigsegg. But again here, look, Brakeman has got the sled up in the air, then in the ice, trying to get it back in the groove so it's running straight and true. And then they load, and again, the final 2 steps from Darius Joseph getting in, and they're out of the spurs, and just a little shimmy at the back of the sled. You have to be an absolute brute away from the block and then land like a bag of feathers rather than a ton of bricks, and it is such a tricky job. Okay. Well, a good one and a bad one crept in there, I'm afraid, for Jeff Garbo. So he drops down to 4th place with 6 to go. It will still be a guaranteed top 10 personal World Cup best. Simon Friedli of Switzerland, his 17th World Cup as a driver in 2-man. And Andreas Huss behind him, his 10th 2-man World Cup start. Never raced here, Simon Friedli. This is a real voyage of discovery for a lot of drivers this season. 498 getaway in the green over Frank Del Duca. What was the margin after the first heat? It was a pretty decent 2500ths of a second. 2200s, Del Duca had a good run and good speed. A little hard on the take on there. Second best speed for Seaman Friedli. Speed's dropping away, skids a little, 10 to 11, 2200s up still. Most of his first heat advantage remains. But if he can't keep the speed lower down, oh, and again a late flop, off 13 into 14, and a big skid, 14 to 15. It's going to be close. Del Duca might pick him off, doesn't. 1900s back, and 1900s in front rather, 48.32, but Frank Del Duca has moved up and will be no worse than 7th. So Frank, 10th place in Whistler. This is a career high for him in his short World Cup tenure as a driver, his 3rd start. And for Seaman Friedli, he's been a medalist before, but that's on tracks that he has seen before from the front seat. Not sure if he's even pushed as a brakeman here. Probably unlikely. I guess last couple of races, 2017, pre-Pyeongchang. Yeah, he may well have been here on the back of Rico Peter's sled. But, oh, see the articulation almost maxed out there as he came late off 13. Had to haul that off. That Seaman Friedli is our leader with 5 sleds to go here in Park City. 5 sleds remaining. We get to our first German duo, race 2 of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup. Don't worry, it'll be fine when we go live. Johannes Lochner and Florian Bauer. 5th fastest start, 5th at the bottom, 3200ths out of the lead, 1700ths out of the medals. A medal is a definite possibility here for Hansi. 497, they started 497 in the first heat. Florian Bauer will be very happy with that, keeping that consistency. And a nice smooth line through turn 4, Lochner keeping the speed up. 2/10 his advantage over Seaman Friedli. 1400ths from the first heat, he's adding to that, and the speed in the FES sled is good, 2700ths. He's almost doubled his first heat advantage. Good looking run from Lochner, 3500ths. This is him shooting for the medals. He hated his first run, this is a much better one. Little meandery from 14 to 15, it'll do. 47.90. That is the fastest run down the track today. 47.90, a 10th quicker than anyone managed in the first heat. Jawohl, Hansi, that is much better. So he has gone 4200ths better than an admittedly not perfect first heat. And a 497 start as well. Ooh! Hansi slipped off the blocks. Watch his feet. It's not. They both kind of slipped there a little bit, but it was not a well synchronized hit from the two of them. So there was more speed available at the start. Nice load. Yeah, that's more of a Hansi smile. Right, he leads, and he was only 300ths out of 4th. So Christoph Hafer had better mind his P's and Q's. This is Christoph with Matthias Sommer behind him. So the Olympic silver medalist leads, the Olympic bronze medalist is up, the Olympic gold medalist still to come. Not that it's packed with talent, obviously, this German team. Okay, here we go. Started 5:02. Even 100th more, you can hear him yelling at the top, even 100th more will help. 5:02, they nail another good start. Nicely into 3 and out. Maybe a little much of a wave in corner 4. 600s back. He only had 300s over Hansi. They started 500 slower. Third best speed, second best speed. Can he come back at him? 900s back. This is going to be very tight. And Hafer needs to be absolutely flawless down here. And I don't think he's got the speed left. Out of 14, less meandery than Lochner. Best speed, not enough, surely. No, not enough. 48 flat, so a tenth of a second slower than Johannes Lochner. And his 300s from the first heat, not enough to keep Hansi behind. It was an improvement, 2900s better than his first run, but Hansi improved more. So it's a German 1-2 with 3 to go. Kind of think we are guaranteed at least 1 German medal with the Olympic bronze, silver and gold medalist, all from Germany in the field. But again, little skid as to come out of the drive lines there. And don't forget, Hafer has never raced on this track before. Not in a 2-man, not, I think, even in a 4-man. And Johannes Lochner has not raced a 2-man here either. So Christoph Hafer drops behind Hansi Lochner, and Simon Friedli lies third with 3 to go. This is where the serious business of winning medals now begins for Francesco Friedrich and Torsten Margis. The not always familiar situation where they are not the last on ice. Third after the first heat, 1500s off the lead. He loves a race, Francesco Friedrich. 4.90, 300s quicker at the start. So that should be a tenth quicker at the bottom. All other things being equal. Little skid from 3 into 4. Make a note in your diary. Driving error from Francesco Friedrich. They happen. They don't often get repeated. 3100s up. Best speed of all. It's not about beating Hansi Lochner. It's not about beating Christoph Hafer. It's about winning the race, breaking the track record. Now, I'm not sure we're going to see the track record fall, and this will be the first race all weekend where it has not. This is a good-looking drive. Not flawless, but it is good from Francesco Friedrich. 47.67. That is a huge effort. That's 4800ths of a second better than their first run. Wow. And there was still stuff to tidy up. Francesco Friedrich, Torsten Margis lead. Little skid from 3 on to 4, so a bit severe on the take-on, and you see that second wave created there. Out of 10, just thinking the sled across to the driver's right. Not too far, baby, here we go. And just roll it on to 11. And then from 14 to 15, just about stays off that left-hand wall. All right, is that enough for gold? Well, it's certainly enough for a medal for Francesco Friedrich, our winner in Whistler. Now, he will be watching with very great interest. I mean, he's not just a great driver and student of the sport, great historian. He really loves tough competition, Francesco. And actually, having drivers like Michael Vogt beating him in the first heat is exactly what he wants. Everybody loves to win, but they love tough competition. Michael Vogt, 700s faster than 900s faster than Francesco Friedrich in the first heat, shooting for a World Cup medal. The Swiss driver was 4th in Whistler, a decent load, 494. They were 492 in the first heat, but that's taking it to Friedrich, but he needs to be really, really good here. He's already in the red. He's a little smoother onto 4 than Francesco Friedrich. 600ths of a second in it. Need big speed at the bottom. Really going to need some speed here, Michael Vogt. No, big skid into 11. Gap has doubled to 1400ths of a second. Well, Hansi Lochner is 4 tenths back in second place at the moment. It's not going to be a gold medal for Michael Vogt. He will be in second place at the line. Friedrich leads with one sled remaining. 48.08, a 48.06 first run from Michael Vogt. They started a couple of hundred slower, but came down exactly in the same time, a couple of hundred slower rather. So it was a good drive, but not as much of a recovery as we saw from Friedrich. Take a look at the hit at the start. Vogt starting on the block and running to that front handle. And then when they come out of the guidelines, Sandro Michel, they're basically halfway on to corner one before he even bothers getting the sled. Sandro Michel, that is the longest run we have seen at the start. Whether it helped or hindered, only they will know. Good stuff from Michael Vogt. He is guaranteed his first World Cup medal of the season. And the final sled, the changing room is emptied all around. Brad Hall and Taylor Lawrence in a super tight battle with Francesco Friedrich in the first heat last week in Whistler. They lead after the first heat here. Their advantage was 1500s over Friedrich. Great Britain's Brad Hall, 32 years of age, in his 44th two-man World Cup start, compared to the 85th of Francesco Friedrich. Behind him, Taylor Lawrence loads superbly, 491, another big start from the boys. Big T, the Royal Navy Sportsperson of the Year, it was announced last night. Nice run through four from Brad Hall. Little skid, 1100s up. Needs good speed from the sled. It's not as quick as the German sled. Now we're motoring. Still has the advantage. It's going to be very tight indeed. Has to be absolutely perfect down at the bottom of the track. Nice exit, but the speed's gone away. 700s back. Gap from first to second is 3/10. It is going to be gold for Francesco Friedrich. Silver again for Brad Hall, 48.08. Not quite as quick as their first run. And Friedrich does it again. Brad Hall and Taylor Lawrence will have to try again in Lake Placid. But there is no question they are in the position where winning a medal and winning the race outright is always a possibility. What a good run for Brad Hall to Francesco Friedrich. 48.15 to a 46.7. A huge improvement from Friedrich, nearly 4/10 quicker. Brad Hall, 800s of a second slower on his second run than his first. But it is a super competitive field. Only beaten by the Olympic two-man champion.
Second, not so bad.
Second, not so bad. And Michael Vogt, a bronze medal in third place. His fourth career bronze. And for Francesco Friedrich, it is victory once more. His 46th two-man World Cup gold. He was in the bronze medal position with Janis Becker the last time we raced here, which was in 2013, 9 years ago. Friedrich is the only competitor in this field who was here in the field 13 years ago. Torsten Margis, even he wasn't here then in the two-man. We had double four-man for a couple of years, up to 2017. It's been a long while, 9 seasons without a two-man race here. Francesco Friedrich wins it from Brad Hall and Michael Vogt. And then silver and bronze medalists at the games, Hansi Lochner, Christoph Hafer, 4th and 5th ahead of Simon Friedli. Another PB for him, a World Cup best result for Frank Del Duca as well, with a 7th place finish. And for Jeff Garbo as well, he ended up in the top 10, his best World Cup result. Great debut for Adam Dobesh, and for Trinidad and Tobago as well, Axel Brown, bringing another new nation to the World Cup bobsleigh. I'll be hoping to have Axel Brown in the booth with us tomorrow for the women's encounter. But for now, Well, he didn't win the first heat. It does happen occasionally that he doesn't win both heats. It doesn't happen that often that he doesn't take the gold medal. And Francesco Friedrich went to his personal collection of superior drives and just pulled out an absolute stormer. He will be critical. There you are, from 10 to 11, not perfect, but it was more than enough to take victory, and a big smile on his face. He fought back and claimed a big win here in Park City. Well, that is it for the two-man. Tomorrow morning we have the women's bobsleigh, and in the afternoon the four-man competition. Francesco Friedrich leads the World Cup standings from Brad Hall as Michael Vogt ties Hansi Lochner for third place now, with Christoph Hafer just ahead of Simon Friedli and Marcus Trichel. Entertaining start to the season in two very different tracks at Whistler and here in Park City. And tomorrow, women's bob and four-man will bring much more of the same. Well, Christoph Langen's 20-year-old track record remains intact here in Park City. It was set in the Olympic Games and remains the fastest run ever down this track. We'll have to see what tomorrow brings. Until then, from the IBSF TV crew, from me, Martin Haver, thank you for being with us. We will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, 09:30. That is 16:30 GMT as we kick off our women's bobsleigh action.